Hello YouTube. Anything, Joss? I apologize, this video is actually going to be recorded on my cell phone, so it's going to be probably bad quality, but anyway, hopefully that'll improve in the future. So what I was hoping to do today is show you kind of a density experiment. I'm going to be liquefying difluoroethane with dry ice to cool it down. Difluoroethane liquefies, as I've said in a previous video, at about, I believe, negative 13 degrees Fahrenheit. It's what, minus 25 Celsius or something like that, I don't know. Now, I've tried to look for the density of difluoroethane online. It's kind of hard to find, but it seems to be, I think I found it one time and it was about 1.05 grams per cubic centimeter, something like that, just slightly more dense than water, I believe, at its boiling point. But if you pressurize it and allow it to warm up, its vapor pressure increases, and and therefore it gets warmer. And as usual, when a liquid warms, its density decreases. So I believe when it gets to room temperature, at about 5 atmospheres, its density is actually, I don't know, maybe 0.9 grams per cubic centimeter or something like that. Basically less than ice. So I'm going to be hopefully showing that if I make this difluoroethane and then put some ice in it that I've colored with beet juice, red, that as the difluoroethane, it will float on the difluoroethane at first, but eventually the difluoroethane will warm up and the density will decrease such that the ice will sink. So hopefully we'll see that. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up this can with dry ice and then put the difluoroethane from an air can duster in here. I'll pause the video so you don't have to watch me liquefying the difluoroethane, because that's just boring. Oops. Right now I'm just trying to pack up this thing with dry ice, which is not easy. Let's see. And we'll get there. Okay, so I'm a little worried that dry ice isn't going to be enough because of the way I packed it, so I'm actually going to cool down the dry ice a bit with liquid nitrogen before I resume. So I'm just going to pour this liquid nitrogen just to cool down the dry ice, make it a little more effective. The fog you're seeing is actually condensed carbon dioxide gas, believe it or not. Alright, now get this difluoroethane in there. Hopefully that's enough difluoroethane. That's how much I collected. Now for the red colored ice. I'll pause the video again. Alright, here's the ice that's been colored with beet juice, just to make it visible. So I'm going to drop it in here. And cover this thing up. Unfortunately, it looks kind of difficult to see. But as you can see, the ice is floating on in the difluoroethane as it would on water, because it's actually less dense than the difluoroethane itself. Hopefully, as the difluoroethane warms up, and hopefully as this ice goes away, you'll be able to see that the red ice block will slowly sink into the difluoroethane as the difluoroethane loses density. And actually, it'd be even more interesting actually if I mark the level of the difluoroethane. Actually, I'll be right back. Let me see if I can do that. Alright, use this marker to mark the level of the difluoroethane and see if maybe it will. You can see whether or not the level changes as the density decreases. Probably won't be able to see that, but you never know. Hold this steady. Still floating so far. I'm going to be pausing the video incrementally so you don't have to be watching this thing warm up the entire time. I also took the liberty of getting some isopropanol to wipe off the ice. So it's a little more visible now. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but let's just see if I force this thing to warm up a little more. It feels like it's maybe about 40 degrees now. I don't think the density drops enough for it to actually, for the ice to actually sink until it gets near room temperature. But if I hold my fingers near here, you can see bubbles flying up as it boils. Take it away. My fingers are again. Might be able to see it's actually boiling a little bit. this up even more. Look at the bubbles flying up. Like most liquid gases, liquid difluoroethane has a terrible thermoconductivity, like much less than water, so I can actually warm up one side while the rest of it stays cool. Although it probably won't warm up too much because it's actually boiling. And when I say it has a terrible thermal conductivity, that just means that it conducts heat very, very poorly. And it also has a very low viscosity as well, much less than water. So, and viscosity is just a measure of how thick it is, loosely speaking. Or perhaps a better way to put it is how easily it flows. Apologize for the length of this video. I'm trying to make it as short as possible by constantly pausing it, but it's taking a very long time for this thing to warm up and actually sink. It feels like it's maybe 60 degrees by now, so it's getting pretty close to room temperature. And I actually found a chart online for difluoroethane of temperature versus vapor pressure. I don't have it with me now, but now the pressure is probably, I guess, maybe 4 atmospheres. Let's see if that level has changed at all. Not much. Now, obviously, watching this might be very boring, so I would suggest just skipping to the part where it actually sinks, which I'm guessing is probably going to be at 15 or 16 minutes. It's really close to dropping now. You probably can't tell, but barely any of the ice is actually sticking above the liquid difluoroethane. It's almost all underneath it, so it's probably very close to sinking at this point. I'm going to speed it up by warming it with my hand. sink. Yeah, I think it's happening now. Ever so slowly. It's just beginning to sink underneath. I guess right now that the water ice and the difluoroethane are probably have the same density right now. So that's what, 0.93 or something like that grams per cubic centimeter. And the pressure should be probably 5 atmospheres. You'll see as I touch it, I warm it up, it starts to sink even faster. As for the temperature, it feels like it's about room temperature to me. Pretty close. And there we go. The ice is sunk. I'm going to show you one more thing. Maybe two more things. I'm going to pour it in liquid nitrogen, actually. Just to see if it starts to float again. I'll pause the video. Alright, here's the liquid nitrogen that I'm going to use to hopefully make this thing float again. I think I have some dry ice left, so just for kicks, toss a few pieces of dry ice inside of the liquid nitrogen. Just for the hell of it. Dry ice is making the liquid nitrogen boil because it's much hotter than it. Anyway, let's see if we can watch this thing begin to float again. Wow, it's still very neutrally buoyant actually. It's not like completely sinking. Maybe if I agitate it. Yeah, see, it goes right back up. So the ice and the difluoroethane have about the same density. So if you ever wanted an example of something that's neutrally buoyant, this ice is definitely an example of that. Spin it around a bit.